Hi, guys. Thanks for watching this important workshop. Thank you, Pastor Vint, for inviting us. The title of this workshop is Lasting Assimilation Begins with First Impressions. Lasting Assimilation Begins with First Impressions. And so this is a workshop about your hospitality, your greeters, your assimilation process. My name is Jennifer Stafford. My husband and I are the pastors of Coastal Church in Daphne, Alabama. We also have another campus in Bay Minette, and we have a vibrant online campus where hundreds of people watch us online every week. We started 10 years ago with 7 people. We are an Alabama CP&D plant and also a CMN partnership with them as well. And so we have just been so excited to see what God has done through Coastal Church and our growth and everything that has happened here. My friend here is Rebecca Sexton. She is our Director of Guest Services, and so that's her title.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
I know, so much fun. And Rebecca just does a phenomenal job at this position. She directs our guest services department, which entails a lot of things, and we're going to talk about that and what that actually means. Guest services is a broad umbrella at our church.
Yes.
And so some people break it down different ways. A lot of people may call it the dream team. People call it different things on their campuses. We call ours the guest services team, right?
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And following this, if you have any questions, Rebecca has developed an incredible training and a manual and all of our forms that we fill out. Because if you know anything about Pastor Chad, he is about a form, right?
That's right.
So we have forms after every service that Rebecca fills out, reports for Pastor Chad that she fills out every Sunday after the services. And it has a lot of information for him, and she turns that in before she leaves on Sunday. So any of that information that you would like, please reach out to us, and we'll give you our information at the end of this, and we'll be happy to share anything we have with you because it's an open book, and we don't have any secrets, and we're not perfect. We don't do everything right, but we do try to do our best to lead with excellence and do everything with excellence. And so we're going to talk a little bit about our assimilation process and first impressions. Let me talk a little bit about membership and assimilation at Coastal Church. We, every month, once a month, we have what's called Discover Coastal. Discover Coastal is our membership class. A lot of people do what's now popular, the growth track, and that's a 4-week process that people go through to become members of churches and to assimilate into churches. We have found here on the Gulf Coast, because people vacation where we live and we have options called the beach and Gulf Shores 30 minutes away, that 4 weeks did not work for us. It just did not work. People did not come back. They did not like sitting in an hour-long class.
That's right.
They had things to do, they had people to see, and they had children,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so it didn't work for us. So again, everything we talk about here, you need to take, and if you're changing up things or looking at your church, fit it to your church's DNA. Every church's DNA is different. Don't think because we have to do it this way that you have to cookie cutter and do it the exact same way for your church. Every church is different. You need to do what fits for your church. And I know that ARC is popular, their model is popular, Church of the Highlands in Alabama especially, their model is popular. And we've been to all their seminars, all their growth seminars, all of that. It's wonderful. We've taken some things from them and implemented it in our church. We've taken some things from them, tried to implement it, and it fell flat. It didn't work for us. It didn't work for our DNA. And we had to be bold enough to say, this didn't work. We're changing it up. And admit this doesn't work. And so be willing to do that. Be willing to, let's try it. Let's try and see if this works. And if it doesn't work for us, then we're going to move and shift and do what works, right?
That's right.
And so a lot of what we're going to teach today came through trial and error. It came through what works. So our membership, believe it or not, is 1 time a month, 1 class for an hour. That's it. And we give the history of Coastal Church. We talk about the governmental structure of Coastal Church. We talk about the different things and ways they can get involved at Coastal Church. And then at the end of it, we talk about the places they can fit in to serve at Coastal Church.
That's right.
And so during that Discover Coastal process, because we do not, now the growth track, if you're familiar with that and your church does that, it's wonderful. Highlands uses that growth track as a discipleship process. Now, we want you to know that that's a little bit different than what we do. We do not use membership as a discipleship process. Membership is in that of itself. It's just a membership class. It's not meant for discipleship. That's a little bit different than what Highlands does, and that's not bragging nor complaining. That just didn't work for us.
Right.
Okay? And so ours is 1 hour. We want to get people in. We want to get them assimilated as fast as possible.
That's right.
And we've just found that this 1 hour, we're going to plug you in, and then we're going to go together on this journey works for us.
When they decide to join our church, they're ready.
They're ready.
They're ready to take off running, get involved.
Yeah.
And we have to do that.
Right. And we have to be ready to help them do that and not say, okay, well, yes, we want you to be involved, but here's 5 more other hoops we're going to need you to jump through first, okay? Because then by that 5th week, that 4th week, they're done. They're like, okay, what now? What else? And so it's great. We've tried it. It just didn't work. So we whittled it down to 1 hour. I can train you in how we do that. It works for us, and we have a very high membership attrition rate. So during that membership class, we give them a service card with listed all the ministries and things they can be involved in at Coastal Church. And we encourage them as part of a member to not only give of your time and your treasure, but to give of your talents and to serve, find a place to serve, plug in and serve somewhere.
With your God-given gifts.
With your God-given gifts. And if people is your gift,
that's right.
If serving others is a gift, guess what? We push them and we encourage them to join our guest services team. And so we're going to talk about our guest services team, those first impressions, why they are so important, because I can tell you, your church, a lot of times, we do a survey of all of our first-time guests. After they're a first-time guest and they fill out a card, we send them a survey. And we ask them, what did you notice? What can we change? How can we make your visit better the next time?
So important.
And the number one response is not about the praise and worship, which ours is incredible. By the way, we just put out a new CD that you can get. Go to our website. And just a little plug there. It's not about our fabulous preaching, which I'm biased, but my husband's the best. It's not that. They talk about our guest services team every single time without fail, and it always starts in the parking lot.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about that, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about how to make lasting assimilation. You're trying to get people to that membership process, to be involved in your family, your church family. You want them there, but it starts with the first impression. Getting people involved. So Discover Coastal happens the first Sunday of every month for our church. They click that box. They check that box on the service card that says guest services team. By what day are you following up with them?
That following week. Well, actually, we send them an invitation. If they sign up to serve on guest service team, that following day, on Monday, they get an invitation to come to orientation.
Yeah, so we're not waiting 2 weeks to follow up.
No.
We're not waiting 4 weeks to say, oh, yeah, you went to Discover Coastal last month.
And if you go back to Discover Coastal, we even have our...
Pull your mic up just a little bit.
We
I want everybody to hear what you're saying.
We have our leaders that oversee departments actually go to Discover Coastal and introduce themselves.
Right.
Our kids leaders, our guest service orientation that they put on, they actually introduce themselves at Discover Coastal.
Right. So we have different directors and pastors come into Discover Coastal, introduce themselves, encourage them, hey, if you want to get involved in kids, sign up with me. If you want to get involved in guest services. And then that very next week, Rebecca is sending them an invitation for an orientation for guest services.
That happens the following Sunday.
And that orientation happens the very next Sunday. So first Sunday of the month, they're getting in membership. By the second Sunday, they are in guest services orientation, getting trained on how to be a vibrant part of our guest services team.
Well, we use the orientation to actually explain our expectations, how our scheduling works, just the little bits and pieces before they start their training.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they get on a team that fits their God-given gift.
Right.
So important.
It is
if
so
you're
important.
serving in your God-given gift, people will feel that.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're not, people will feel that.
Absolutely.
People will feel that, right?
Yes,
And so let's
absolutely.
talk a little bit more about. So they're contacted immediately. That is so important, guys. I can't stress it enough. Many times people come to churches, they fill out these connect cards, they fill out cards, they check boxes, and it's crickets. They don't hear anything. They're like, well, I signed up, but no one contacted me. It's important that we are Johnny on the spot with those emails and those invitations and those follow-up phone calls. And if you don't get a response from the email, that you're making that phone call to say, hey, I don't know, maybe my email got lost in your junk box. Did you get it? We want to invite you to our guest services orientation to get you involved. Your involvement is so important to us.
Follow-up is key.
Follow-up is key to growing big groups. Follow-up is key. Tell us, Rebecca, how many people are in your guest services?
Now, this is just on the adult side.
Okay, adult side, yeah.
Yes, so, with our teams, we have over 200
Right.
plus people that serve.
On guest services alone, just guest services.
Just guest services.
Right. And so this is a big thing that she does and schedules 200 people. Here's another thing. When you're scheduling people, we shoot for having enough people in our teams that they only have to serve once a month.
That's right.
That's very important to Pastor Chad and to our leadership because we don't want people to get burned out. And
So
here's what they're so excited to be on guest services.
They
They want to serve 5 Sundays.
And it just blows my mind when they're sitting in orientation. We go over the scheduling with our team members, and I'm like, okay, we encourage you to serve one service once a month to see their face. If they came from a church that they're serving every week,
Right.
they're burned out. It took us a minute just to get them to join our team
Right.
because they thought they were going to get trapped.
Right.
And so they're like, wait a minute, one service once a month? Like, they don't believe us.
Now, Rebecca, did we start there with one service once a
No.
month?
And we still have a few
Right.
that serve twice a month
Right.
because that's their preference.
Right, right.
We encourage once a month, but some people like to serve twice a month.
Right, but we really discourage more than that.
And our leaders,
unless it's necessary.
our captains, now they are a little bit different. When we
Yes.
schedule them, they're one Sunday a month all day.
Right,
We believe in the consistency of leadership for that entire Saturday night
or Sunday.
or that Sunday.
Right, and so we didn't start there. So that's what I want to
No.
encourage you. We didn't start with the one. We had to recruit. Or I say we. Rebecca, that was her job. That's what we paid her. recruit workers. Recruit servers. Recruit.
Do you
so she is
remember-
constantly.
Early on,
Yeah.
when I first joined the church, we would show up on Sunday.
And it was just a huddle.
Everybody showed up at once, and we said, okay, you're an usher, you're a greeter, you're on the parking team. Like,
all right, everybody go. And
Go.
no one had training, no one had anything.
No
Like, we
teams.
weren't there yet.
No.
And then Rebecca came in and gave real big ownership to it, really started our teams, really started putting people where they thrived most. So whether they were in our cafe area or whether they're in our door greeters, our parking lot team, our hospitality, our guest services desk, checking in people,
Right.
whatever department they were filtered into, it took time. We can help you do that. We can help you and show you how we did it and train you after this. If you have questions, we're happy to do that. We're happy to help you.
Right.
All right. So follow-up is important. Get them scheduled and begin the process. You have to have heart in guest services. It's all about the heart. And we talk about that a lot. So what I want is I'm going to turn this a little bit over to Rebecca, and then I'm going to insert a little bit. But let's first talk about our orientation and then our shadow training, how that starts.
Well, the orientation is just a way for us to go over the expectations, just to make sure that they understand. Being on the guest service team, you cannot have a judgmental heart.
Right.
You have to have a heart of God to, for when people walk on campus, it doesn't matter where they've been.
Right.
It doesn't matter where they're at. or where they're going.
Or what they look like or
Right.
anything.
We're going to love them. We're going to love them. And I always love in orientation to let them know, how did you feel when you first walked on campus?
Right.
And I'm telling you what, when I first walked on Coastal campus, I'm like, I want the Kool-Aid they're drinking.
Right.
Like, it was exciting, and they weren't even organized.
Without the cyanide
we didn't even have
poisoning,
teams.
right?
It was just people happy to open doors.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
And to carry that on has been incredible.
Absolutely.
Like, I still pinch myself that I'm doing this because I'm an ordinary person. And God's doing extraordinary things on campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
And so
selection.
the orientation kind of gives us those them the expectation, because sometimes in orientation they hear the expectations and they're like, you know what, I signed up for this just to kind of wet my whistle to see if I wanted to do this, but it's really not what I want to do. Maybe, and Rebecca can help them, like, okay, maybe you're more suited for our production team or on a camera or, in our kids department or wherever. That orientation helps kind of filter them through that process. So next, then after that, if they stay on the team, which most of them do, then we go through a shadow training. So tell us a little bit about the shadow training that happens.
Yes. Well, we try not to throw them out on an island by themselves. Here you go open doors. We actually put them with the captain that oversees that area, and they just shadow that captain for that entire service. They learn all the areas that could be for their position. And then the following time that they're scheduled, then we release them in a position, but we still stay close to them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people say, oh, it's just opening a door. No, it's much more. It's that powerful, we're setting the atmosphere.
That's right.
And for us to set the atmosphere, it's not just opening a door.
That's right. And one thing we like to talk about at Coastal is that everything we do, everything you do in your church, from the minute they drive on campus to the altar, is all a funnel. It's a funnel. You have to see it like a funnel to the altar to make that decision for Christ, right? Because that's the reason we're here, is to see people's lives change. It's a funnel. So if at any part that funnel is clogged by a bad attitude or, a dirty stare or whatever, then we are accountable for that.
That's right.
We need to make sure that we keep that funnel very, fluid, so that people can come and know Jesus,
That's
right?
right.
And if so, we want to, if there's anything that we do that causes an offense, we want to try to eliminate that on the front end, okay?
Yes.
So anyway, shadow training is important. We don't throw them to the wolves. We train. We teach them what to do. We show them our expectations
That's
on
right.
how we open doors, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it. And so that's important. And let's talk a little bit about our huddles that you do, which I love your huddles on Sunday.
Thank you.
They're really loud.
Yes, very loud.
And let's cheerleader atmosphere. Like,
And some people do say, oh, you must have been a cheerleader in high school. I actually played basketball.
Okay.
I was all about sports.
All right.
But being on a team is so important, and knowing all the parts of that team. And Huddle gives us an opportunity, and we do encourage every team member, go to that huddle. We have our team show up 45 minutes before they serve.
Right.
And the first 15 minutes, it's a small group. Even
That's
though
right.
we might have 40 people serving that service or whatever that number is, hey, how's your dog? How's your mom? You get to know each other.
right. And you pray together and you
Yes.
share together, even before they come out into the lobby to do their positions,
So
to do their
important.
jobs. They are being ministered to in their groups.
That's right.
In their serving groups.
That's right.
And so that's why and if you looked at our previous training on small groups for Coastal, that's why we count guest services as a small group. We count it as a small group because in those huddles,
That's right.
it's like a small group.
People's lives are changed.
Yeah, y'all have praise and worship.
That's right.
Y'all sing.
We
and
do music, we share, we pray, and it also gives us an opportunity for our leaders, what we call captains, to go over the guidelines. Because you know what? If you serve once a month, you tend to forget what you
Right.
did last month.
Right.
We live busy lives.
Right. And those huddles
Yeah.
are important too, because maybe there was something that we went over in staff meeting that those greeters need to know about, or
That's good.
that you were privy to, that you need to share with them. Hey, Pastor Chad noticed lots of crying baby. We have crying babies. We all have them in our churches. Pastor Chad noticed lots of crying babies last week. Here's our plan.
Right.
Here's how we're tweaking. Here's how we're helping to kind of help that situation. So we share those things in huddles so that everybody, when they go out in front of the congregation, is on the same page.
That's right.
Our team is acting as a team. We're one voice. We're all together and all in agreement. I think it's very important. So those huddles are very, very, very important.
And I love what huddle stands for, the acronym. Helping us develop dedication, leadership, and enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's great.
That's so awesome.
Develop dedication, leadership, and enthusiasm. And so throughout the week, do we bombard them with emails?
No. They get everything that they need during huddle. Now, if we have a big event.
Right. Big events are different.
They're totally on a different scale.
Right.
And if you ever want to know anything about big events, email me. I love big events. But no, we don't communicate during the week.
Why?
Unless
Because their emails are already full of what? Work.
Just work.
Work
stuff.
and kid stuff.
Yes.
They don't want to email from their church about hey, greeters,
Right.
da-da-da-da-da,
And that's why it's so important. Like when we send out someone's schedule, if they're serving that following Sunday, we'll send it out on Monday
Right?
via email.
Let's talk about scheduling while we're
Okay.
on this, on the emails.
Great.
On your scheduling, your team members. So they only serve once a month. And how do you communicate that schedule?
So we use our community church builder, CCB, and we build it on the calendar. We send the invite out on Monday. We give them the opportunity to RSVP, yes, no, or maybe. If we haven't heard from them by Wednesday, we'll shoot it out again. Everybody's emails are busy.
Right.
If we have not heard from them by Friday, and like I said, when we first started this, I did a lot of phone calls and a lot of texts.
It took a minute to get them used to RSVPing.
You almost have to reprogram what they've been used to.
Right.
But come Friday night, we have to know, are we completely staffed? We want to go into a service where we can be flexible with anything that comes up,
Yeah,
but we
that's
have to
good.
be staffed first.
That's good. Yeah, you have to make sure that your schedule and all your positions are staffed
That's
and
right.
ready to go. And if you miss that, that's really important. Rebecca knows that by Friday afternoon. If they have not RSVP'd back to her, she's on the phone making a phone call, checking with them, saying, "Hey, I didn't know if you didn't." And it's so funny because people say, after 3 weeks of Rebecca having to call me, I finally broke down and started RSVPing.
Yes.
Because they will. And if you nicely teach them how to do that, but in the beginning, it was a training process. It took a minute. It was a lot of phone calls, a lot of your time, just training them on our system and how we needed them to do that.
And it's a ministry for
Right.
us as
Yeah.
guest service directors, because if they didn't answer emails, 2 of them, maybe they're in the hospital.
Maybe something's wrong.
Maybe something's wrong, and we need to pray or find out what's going on.
Right. So good.
So important.
Yeah, and that helps you with the follow-up. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our teams that we have on the small group system under our small group. So first we have the parking team, which is the very first team that they encounter, a guest encounters when they come on your on your campus. Talk a little bit about the parking team for us.
The parking team, they not only find safe spots for our guests, but they also greet them with a smile.
Yeah.
We want them to feel comfortable. They don't always listen. Our guests don't always listen to our parking
Nope.
team, but we have to. During orientation, we learn this. It doesn't matter. If they want to park over there, let them go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just smile at them, because we break the barriers. We set the atmosphere, and it starts in the parking lot.
And we learn people don't like to be told where to
no.
park.
No.
But
everyone.
you can do it fun. You can make it fun. And the parking team does that. We do give them all the equipment they need to make their job easy. So we get the batons, we get the raincoats, we get the hats.
It takes an army.
It does, because parking teams are often forgotten. So Rebecca's constantly giving us, hey, the parking team needs this, needs that. And we do that as best we can, because that's an unsung hero job, and they need equipment to do their job the best way.
That's right.
Especially if you have a quick turnaround in service times like we do, we have 15 minutes in between each service. We got to get them in and out of that parking lot safely and happily,
Yes.
right? We
Yes.
want happy people coming in and going out.
And listening to our guest service captains is
Yeah.
so important in my role, because they're out there doing it.
And they'll tell you what they need.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And they know the right time to tell me. They
Yeah.
won't tell me in the meat of it.
Right,
They'll
right.
wait until after service, and they're
Can
like,
you give me a
let's
minute?
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so next they see the greeter team. The greeter team, tell me about them.
The greeter team, they joyfully open doors.
Right.
Right now is a little different what we're going to be doing.
Everything we're saying is pre-COVID.
That's
okay?
right.
And then post-COVID.
Yeah,
or
so,
whatever.
opening doors is so important. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just opening a door. No, it's actually opening a door, welcome, like making them feel so special. We're so happy you're home.
Yeah.
And just inviting them in, because think about it. It starts in the parking and then goes to the greeter team. So that's twice.
They've
And we-
already been, and so
Yes.
no one should ever leave your church and
Never.
say, no one ever spoke to me,
Yeah.
right? That's our goal.
And if that complaint does come in our survey, you know what? We will take that and we grow from it and we
Yeah.
learn. I never get offended. You cannot have a spirit of offense in my job.
Right.
Like, I will never get offended if someone says, hey, we were missed because we need to fix it.
Right.
Something broke.
Yeah.
And we need to
And we
fix it.
can't fix it if we don't know about it.
That's right. That's right.
So the greeter team, they're opening that door. They're your friendly people. You have to, as a guest services director, kind of be able to discern those personalities and put the right people in the right positions.
That's right.
So that they excel and they feel like they're doing a great job.
That's
you know.
right.
And so don't put that grumpy person, or whatever that kind of is moody or whatever. You might not want to put them as a greeter on the front door that everybody comes through all the time. But there is a spot
yeah,
for them.
That's right. And if you're in that position right now, if your church has that position with somebody like that and they were grandfathered in, because you know what?
that
You didn't
happens.
have teams.
That happens.
Yes, it does happen. But you know what? As you start to recruit and invite people to have that personality on the door, those people will eventually wean off to another position.
Yeah, or they'll catch the vision and they become
And they
happy.
join them.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's happened.
That's so good. Okay, so then next we have a parking team, a greeter team, a host team. Tell us a little bit about the host team, because that's one of my favorite teams.
Well, the host team is a little bit quieter team. They're all about information. What can we tell you about our
So
church?
you're cerebral people.
Yes.
You're very intellectual.
That's why you like that.
I love the team.
So the greeter team and the parking team, they're a lot more hyper, loud. The host team kind of brings it in. What can we do for you?
Yeah. How can we put that happiness to work?
That's right. And they are stationed.
Yeah.
Where some of our guest service team, they might float. The host team, we try to keep in one spot. So you always know, hey, there's the guest service desk. Go ask them a question. And Pastor Chad does announce that on stage a lot.
Yeah, if you have questions, go to the guest services
That's right.
desk. Our host team is there to help you. And then what Rebecca does that's so important at the host team, she has a laminated sheet of frequently asked questions that they may not necessarily remember, but it's on that sheet so that they can have a reference point. So that's important to equip your teams to be able to answer the questions so that they're not, and we'll talk about this, so they're not interrupting the pastor in the lobby or
Right.
another team member in the lobby. They know, and they have the ability to answer questions themselves. They're equipped.
And that changes.
Empowered.
That can change. I mean, we're a church of change right now.
Right, yeah.
So with those laminated questions, frequently asked questions, it's when is baptism? Questions that don't change that often. But our team, we do teach them. If somebody approaches them and asks them a question they don't know, we always compliment. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Let us find out for you. So that way they don't look like they don't know what they're doing.
Right, absolutely. So I love the host team. They're very knowledgeable
Yes.
about all things coastal, and we encourage them to stay knowledgeable. So they're the ones on your website. They're the ones that actually do fill out your forms and,
That's right.
and do all the things they're supposed to do. Okay, so next we have the usher team. Tell us a little bit about that usher
Yay,
team.
One of my favorite teams.
Yeah.
Our usher team, they're more of the proactive team. They
Okay.
see it before it happens.
So they're helping people set, we're in our auditorium, that's why I'm pointing out their direction. They are actually seating people in our auditorium in
That's
a
right.
way that helps other people so that we don't have too many empty seats.
And they have to always be thinking, they have to calm disturbances.
Yep.
You know, so all the littles are in the back, and, you know, as people come in, nobody wants to sit in the front. So everybody that's late,
Gets to sit in the
get to
front.
sit in front, and it's a challenge sometimes.
Right.
For our
They don't
usher
want to
team.
necessarily, so you have to lovingly guide. One thing we do at Coastal is that we have special reserved seating in the back of our auditorium for parents who keep their kids with them. So we say that in our announcements. Hey, parents, if you keep your kids with you, we have seating in the back of the auditorium just for you, because kids are going to be kids and they're going to cry, and we don't want to shame a parent from, you know, the walk of shame from the front row to the back with a screaming kid. You want to keep them in the back. So
It's for their
we don't say
convenience.
no kids. We do give them an opportunity to sit with their parents. It's just in a designated location.
right.
And our ushers have to be that special personality that can direct a person lovingly to that place and say, hey, this is where we have reserved for you.
And we do
be
role
able to,
play
like you said, throw
that.
water on fire that could potentially get out of hand.
And we do role play. It's all about the tone.
Yeah.
I can say the exact same thing to somebody in a soft tone, and
Yeah.
it's not offensive.
Right. That's so good. Okay, so we have the parking team, greeter team, host team, usher team, and then we have a great team that you have developed called the
Yes.
medical team. Tell us about the medical team.
And you know, when I gave you numbers earlier, we had 200 plus. That did not include medical, cookie delivery, and the Friday setup team.
Okay.
So,
wow.
yeah, I know. I've just thought about that. But the
Yeah.
medical team is designed different. Their scheduling is actually, what service are you going to attend
Yeah.
this Sunday or Saturday night, and sign up. It's almost like a hot schedule. First one that grabs it gets it. We have 2 tiers. We have a tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1's your doctors, your nurses, people that experience emergencies all the time. Your tier 2, that would be me. I'm CPR trained and AD certified, but I'm the chaos calmer.
Yeah.
I calm the chaos, and it takes
So medical team are medical professionals and people that are CPR,
That's
80,
right.
80, what's it called? AD,
AD certified.
AD certified, that little heart thingy.
Yes.
I'm not certified in that yet. I need to get
We need to
certified.
get
but we
you
have one of
certified.
those.
We do.
At
And,
our church. So every church needs to get one of those. But and then you can have certification in that. So their medical team is kind of a first come, first serve basis. What service are you coming to? And then we have a special number that goes on our screen when we have
That's
an
right.
emergency. And then that team meets out in the lobby, and Rebecca directs them to the emergency.
And
next,
our host team actually, they do that.
Yeah.
They oversee that. Our host team stays in the lobby the
entire
entire
time.
service.
Absolutely. Okay, next we have the Auditorium Cafe and Cafe team.
Yes.
And tell us about what they do. They have a big job.
Oh, yes. You know, this team, I say the usher team's one of my favorite. They're all my favorite.
Right.
Like, I just love each and every one of our teams. But this team serves coffee, makes food and snacks, and
Sets the donuts up.
yes,
Our
we
donut
do.
pyramid. We get Krispy Kreme donuts every Sunday. How many dozens?
70 dozen.
70 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts every week from Foley. We send somebody out there and they get them, and then we have this funny thing that we talk about, the donut pyramid, and it's massive.
Yes.
It's massive. But we do everything with excellence when we put the food out. We're not just slapping some donuts.
That's
We're
right.
not opening a box and just setting it on a table. We're intentional about everything that we do, and everything is done with excellence. So we serve free breakfast.
That's right.
We have an 8 o'clock, a 9:15, 10:30, and an 11:45 service on Sundays. We have a Saturday night service as well. But 8 o'clock, 9:15, 10:30, 11:45. At the 8 o'clock service, to incentivize it, because we needed more people to come to that 8 o'clock service, we serve what?
Biscuits and gravy, breakfast casserole.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yes, Krispy Kreme donuts every service.
Right.
And we do a different casserole, like a Krispy Kreme bread pudding, or we do peach cobbler. It just
All
really
this again
depends.
pre-COVID, but so all of it's free. It's out there in the lobby. Can they bring it in the auditorium to eat? Yes, you may. Yes, you may. And so we have people eating their Krispy Kreme bread pudding and worshiping Jesus
That's
at
right.
the same time, and it's awesome, right?
Yes, I love how Pastor Chad makes everybody feel so special. Like, if you haven't had a chance to go get coffee or breakfast, please go do so. And
Yeah.
you see everybody walk out. to go get breakfast.
They
It's
get
amazing.
breakfast and they eat breakfast. And then people find out what the 8 o'clock service has and they're like, well, I want that.
Yeah.
And here's what you do when you tell your people, bring your kids
That's
to
right.
the 8 o'clock service. It's free breakfast for them.
Right. Right.
And so we have a 9:15, and we do different snacks and different finger sandwiches and things throughout the
grows.
day. And
It
so
grows.
that's what that's what the Auditorium Cafe team does. Then next we have the cookie delivery team.
Woo.
All right.
This is a new team.
This is a new team.
Yes, and it's
And we're still trial and error
we
different
are.
things with this
We've
one.
been tweaking it as we go. We first started off with having our guest service team during huddle. We'll say, "Hey, don't forget when you're done, when you're finished with your service, check with the guest service desk. See if there's anybody that lives by you." We needed more people on this team, so we had to form a team.
Right. And so
Yes.
people are filling out their connection
That's
cards.
right.
This is how we get the addresses. They fill out their connection card in service. They tear it off. They put it in the box as they exit. Our group, our ushers are taking those connection cards immediately. Anything that's marked first-time
Yes.
guest, it's copied and sent to Rebecca's host team. That host team then has cookie bags ready to go. And then their cookie delivery team, checks in with the host team. If anybody's beside them that's a new guest, they get a bag of
They're
cookies.
lined up, ready to run out the door.
We have them, and they're beautifully decorated, all the things, freshly baked cookies inside. The people pick up the cookies and take them to the houses right then, right after that service. And what we found is many times before they even come back from Sunday lunch,
That's right.
they've got cookies on their porch saying, thank you for being a
Blows their
part of Coastal
mind.
Church. Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing.
And so that's what the cookie team does. And then finally, one of my favorite teams, and I know we said this and we have to wrap this up, is our Friday setup team. Tell us a little bit about that Friday important setup team.
You know, our Friday setup team, Jennifer, it's all about what happens before Sunday or Saturday night and Sunday. It's the what kind of team do I want to call that?
You know
the
what?
behind the scene team.
Yeah, and they're the
Yes.
preparers.
Oh,
they prepare
so
because
good.
you want to walk into a Sunday not like thinking about all the things you have to do.
That's
you
right.
want them done, and that's why
It's
appreciate
set up on Friday.
I appreciate this team because you have developed this team, and Pastor Chad and I, as the leaders, can go to bed on Saturday night knowing that everything is done and ready for Sunday.
That's right.
Because they've been here preparing the bulletins, preparing the service guides, preparing the sermon notes, preparing, making sure the mints are out, making sure that everything is ready.
And you know what helped us to form that team? There's people in our church that cannot stand on their feet on a Sunday and serve and open doors and pass out worship guides and run coffee.
That's so good.
You know, that's what helped me to form this team is people were coming, what can I do? I have to sit down and do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? Come join us on Friday. Put worship guides together.
And we've also used this Friday team really quickly. If we have special mail outs, like we have to get a lot of mail outs or stamp a lot of things.
That's right.
And a lot of them are retired or elderly, and they love coming up here on
That's
Fridays.
right.
It's another small group.
And their prayers when we huddle, because we huddle for Friday.
And they pray over the chairs.
They pray over me. That it carries me the whole weekend.
That's so awesome.
And they pray over our pastors.
That is so great.
Amazing.
I love the Friday setup team. So these are some of our teams. These are the hearts behind them. Guys, it starts in the parking lot. Your first impressions create, because I'm telling you, unfortunately, people use those things to decide whether they're going to come back to a church or not, And so the preaching can be all that in a bag of chips, and, the worship's great. But if there are unfriendly people that are not willing to welcome them, then it all is, it could be for naught, because they don't have that welcoming atmosphere. This is a process that takes developing. It's not hodgepodge. It's just not fly by the seat of your pants. It takes intentionality. It takes investing in a staff member that does it and does it well. And so you have to think about all those things because a volunteer to do this could not. It's a full-time job. And so you have to be very intentional about that. But in conclusion, I want to give you our emails for follow-up. My email is jennifer@coastalchurch.tv. That's JENNIFER @coastalchurch.tv. And then we have Rebecca. Hers is Rebecca@coastalchurch.tv. If you missed anything that we said today, email us, call our church office, 251-621-9555. we'll be happy to talk to you. We'll be happy to come and help you train, help you set up scheduling, Zoom it, do all the things that we can do.
Yes.
To help you. We hope that this was beneficial to you. If there's anything that we can do to serve you better, please don't hesitate to reach out.
That's right.
We hope this added value to you. We love you. Have a great day.